Somewhere out there, a person genuinely wondered if swallowing a magnet would turn them into a fridge. These aren't just dumb Google searches. They're raw, unfiltered brainwaves from a population that really should have closed the tab and gone outside. We've collected 101 of the most mind-melting, logic-defying questions ever typed into a search bar. And yes, one of them might have been yours. 1. Is water wet? This isn't just a question, it's a philosophical crisis unfolding in real time. Somewhere out there, a person got out of the shower, stared at their hands, and had their entire perception of reality shattered. They needed Google, not as a search engine, but as an existential therapist. 2. How to hide a body. Okay, let's just hope this is for a screenplay. But the sheer volume of this search is a little unsettling. You just know there's an FBI agent on the other side of the screen, sipping his coffee, sighing, and adding another name to a very, very long watch list. 3. Am I pregnant, man? This search is a masterpiece of confusion. Is it a man asking if he's pregnant, or someone asking a pregnant man a question? Either way, the fundamental grasp of biology has completely left the building. Sir, unless you've swallowed a watermelon whole, the answer is probably no. 4. How to download more RAM. A timeless classic. This is the digital equivalent of trying to download more horsepower for your car. You can just picture someone's computer running slow, and instead of closing 50 browser tabs, they believe the solution is to find a magic more memory button on the internet. 5. Is the Earth flat? There are people who believe the Earth is flatter than their dating profile. Despite satellites, astronauts, and physics textbooks, they remain convinced it's all a lie from Big Globe. Somewhere out there, someone's sailing to the edge of the world with a GoPro and a bag of snacks, ready to prove NASA wrong. 6. What happens if a black hole eats the sun? This person isn't just worried about tomorrow's weather. They're planning for intergalactic apocalypse-level events. While the rest of us are concerned about paying taxes, someone in Ohio is genuinely stressed about our solar system becoming a cosmic snack. Talk about anxiety on a whole new scale. 7. Can my dog get my cat pregnant? Imagine the scene. A dog and a cat just chilling. And their owner is watching them with a deep, scientific curiosity, wondering if they're about to witness the creation of some mythical creature. Spoiler alert. No, you will not be the proud owner of a dat cog. 8. How to Google something? This is a true paradox. To ask this question, you must first know how to ask the question. It's like being trapped in a digital black hole of your own creation. Whoever searched this is either a certified genius or has achieved a level of helplessness we can only dream of. 9. Is it illegal to marry your cousin? You know things are getting serious with a relative when you have to consult Google and the US legal code. This isn't just a search, it's a risk assessment for the most awkward family reunion of all time. They're just trying to keep it in the family. Legally, of course. 10. Do penguins have knees? This is the kind of question that keeps you up at night. You see them waddling, and it just doesn't look right. They look like feathery, formal torpedoes. It's a valid, if ridiculous, inquiry into avian anatomy that has probably sparked more than one heated debate over dinner. 11. Why does my car sound like a dying goose? The specificity here is just beautiful. It's not a squeal, not a grind, it's a dying goose. This person has a poet's soul and a mechanic's nightmare. They don't need a professional, they need an automotive exorcist to deal with that very specific honking demon under their hood. 12. How to tell if my roommate is a vampire. Someone has been watching way too much television. They're probably checking their roommate's teeth for fangs, leaving garlic on the counter as a test, and wondering why they never want to go out for a sunny morning brunch. It's either a vampire or just a night owl who hates garlic. 13. Is Australia real? Somewhere, a person is convinced that an entire continent, complete with kangaroos, koalas, and 25 million people, is just an elaborate hoax. A global conspiracy to sell us Outback Steakhouse and Foster's beer. What's next? Is Texas just a big hat store? 14. Can you get a DUI on a horse? This question tells a story. A story that likely involves a long night at a saloon, a poor decision, and a very confused horse. You don't just idly wonder about this. You Google this on horseback, one-handed, while trying to trot in a straight line for a police officer. 15. What is the name of the president? This is just… wow. This isn't about forgetting a detail. This is a catastrophic failure of basic civic awareness. You see their face on the news every single day. You can't escape it. To have to Google this is to admit you've achieved a state of blissful ignorance. 16. How to unmicrowave something. Somewhere in America, a person is staring at a molten hot, rubbery piece of food with profound regret. They didn't just overcook it. They've broken a fundamental law of thermodynamics, and now they expect Google to provide a magical undo button for their culinary sins. This is a quest against the very arrow of time itself. 17. Do blind people see in their dreams? This question sits somewhere between neuroscience and a late-night shower thought. The person who typed this is probably lying awake at 3 a.m. staring into the darkness, wondering if dreams come with a visual accessibility mode. It's not dumb exactly. It's just that their brain took a wrong turn and ended up in a TED Talk with no speakers. 18. Can I pay my taxes with an iTunes gift card? This is a beautiful symphony of hope and financial desperation. This person looked at the might of the Internal Revenue Service, the most feared financial institution in the country, and thought, you know what they probably need? More Taylor Swift albums. It's an attempt to settle federal debt with the power of pop music. 19. What is the sound of a silent letter? This isn't a question. It's a Zen riddle posed by someone who has stared at the K in knife for far too long and has begun to question reality. They are trying to hear the unhearable, to know the unknowable. This person isn't dumb. They have ascended to a higher plane of confusion. 20. Why does my pee smell like my coffee? A moment of genuine panic in the bathroom. This person has connected two dots that should never have been connected, leading to a terrifying conclusion about their own internal plumbing. They're not just hydrating, they're apparently brewing a fresh pot of human espresso, and they need Google to tell them it's okay. 21. If I eat myself, will I disappear or become twice as big? This is the kind of question that can only be formulated at 4 a.m. after a very, very long night. It's a perfect paradox, a philosophical wormhole that challenges the laws of physics and conservation of mass. It's not just dumb, it's a work of abstract, terrifying genius. 22. Can my hamster get Wi-Fi? This person is watching their hamster spin on its wheel with a look of frustration and assumes it's not bored, just buffering. They're checking if their tiny pet is trying to connect to the router to stream rodent content. Forget chew toys, this guy needs 5G. 23. How to get my husband's phone unlocked for his own good. This isn't a search. It's a declaration of marital war disguised as concern. For his own good is the most sinister phrase here. This is the starting point for a domestic drama so intense it would make a soap opera look like a children's cartoon. The trust has left the building. 24. Is it possible to get a tan from a computer monitor? This question comes from the palest corners of the internet, from someone who has spent so long bathed in the glow of their screen that they've started to wonder if they're absorbing artificial sunlight. They are desperately hoping to achieve a summer bronze without ever having to go outside. 25. How to prove I'm not a robot to a website. The machines are winning. This person has failed the click on all the traffic lights test so many times that they are having a full-blown identity crisis. They are on the verge of looking in the mirror and checking their own arm for wires. This is how the robot apocalypse begins, with CAPTCHA-induced paranoia. 26. Can a ghost see me when I'm on the toilet? This isn't just a question about the paranormal, it's a question about supernatural privacy and etiquette. This person is less concerned about being haunted and more concerned about being judged by a spectral roommate. They just want to know if they need to be self-conscious in front of the undead. 27. Do flies have feelings? Imagine swatting a fly and then being overcome with a wave of crippling guilt. This person is in the middle of that moral crisis. They are contemplating the inner emotional life of a pest that literally eats garbage for a living. This is either peak empathy or the start of a very strange new religion. 28. Why is it called a building if it's already built? Someone just had a linguistic meltdown mid-sentence. They looked at the word building, realized it ends in "ing," and spiraled into grammatical chaos. This isn't just a question. It's the start of a full-blown identity crisis about language, architecture, and possibly time itself. Welcome to English, where nothing means what it says, and everything is just barely hanging together. 29. How long do I boil a human head? Alright, let's all agree this is for a crime novel. Please, let this be for a novel. This search is so alarmingly specific that you know it triggered an immediate red flag at FBI headquarters. Somewhere, an agent just put down his donut, sighed deeply, and said, "We got another one." 30. Is a hot dog a sandwich? This is not a question. This is a philosophical battleground, a culinary hill that millions are willing to die on. The person who first Googled this didn't just want an answer, they wanted validation. They wanted Google to settle the great, eternal debate that has torn families and friendships apart for decades. 31. Do ghosts get bored? Imagine being stuck haunting the same guy who's been watching TV in the same sweatpants for 3 days straight. This spirit didn't sign up for eternal Netflix. It's not horror anymore. It's spiritual secondhand embarrassment. 32. Do ants have best friends? Someone watched 2 ants carrying a crumb together and had an emotional meltdown. Now they're Googling whether insects form emotional bonds, go through breakups, or have tiny heart-to-hearts under leaves. It's biology meets rom-com logic. 33. Why do noses run and feet smell? English makes no sense. Somewhere, someone is sneezing while holding their foot, wondering why every body part is doing the opposite of what it's named for. It's not just a question. It's the first sign that language itself is trolling us. 34. How to win an argument with a woman. This is the search of a desperate man. A man who believes there is a secret cheat code, a magical phrase hidden somewhere on the internet that will unlock eternal victory in domestic disputes. Sir, that cheat code does not exist. You are on a fool's errand. 35. Can mirrors lie? This isn't about physics. It's denial in its purest form. Someone looked in the mirror, didn't like what they saw, and decided the reflective surface was gaslighting them. They're not insecure. They just don't trust furniture anymore. 36. What does IDK stand for? The beautiful irony here is that the person asking the question probably got a text saying IDK, and instead of just assuming the person didn't know, went to Google to find out what IDK means. The answer, of course, is I don't know, creating a perfect, beautiful loop of ignorance. 37. Is my bird a government drone? The paranoia is real. This person is staring at their pet parakeet, Polly, with deep suspicion, checking its tiny feet for landing gear and wondering if its chirps are actually encoded messages being sent back to the CIA. The birds aren't real conspiracy has claimed another victim. 38. How to upgrade my brain like a computer. This person doesn't want to study. They want a USB port in their neck and a download genius button. They're looking for a way to install knowledge without reading anything. It's less self-improvement, more software update. 39. Why isn't my printer printing money? You have to admire the logic. This machine can create a full-color, high-resolution picture of a $100 bill, so why can't it just print the actual thing? This is a beautiful combination of technological misunderstanding and pure, uncut financial optimism. 40. Can I sue my parents for being born? This is the final boss of teenage angst, the ultimate expression of existential dread. This person has reached such a profound level of dissatisfaction with their life that they are seeking legal recourse against their own existence. This isn't a lawsuit, it's a philosophical cry for help. 41. What happens if you drink lava? For everyone wondering, the answer is you die. You die a very, very fast and dramatic death. The fact that this question even needs to be asked suggests that someone watched a cartoon and thought the consequences might be a little less final. 42. Is Bigfoot my real father? This is not just a search. It's the premise for the greatest talk show episode of all time. Somewhere out there, a person is looking at their own hairy arms and slightly large feet and connecting dots that lead directly to a mythical forest ape. The family reunion would be legendary. 43. How to unboil an egg. This is a person who looked at a hard-boiled egg with the regret of a scientist who has gone too far. They believe there must be a reverse button for cooking, a way to turn back the culinary clock and restore the egg to its former liquid glory. They are fighting a losing battle against chemistry. 44. Where is the internet located? This person imagines the entire internet is housed in a single, gigantic, humming building somewhere in a desert, probably with a big blinking on switch. They picture a physical place you could visit, maybe take a tour of, and ask where the cat videos are stored. 45. How to explain to my mom I'm not a Satanist, I just like black clothes? This is a story as old as time. A drama playing out in suburban homes across the nation. This isn't just a search, it's a desperate plea for a script, a perfectly worded explanation to de-escalate a situation that has gone from a laundry argument to an accusation of devil worship. 46. Can you get pregnant from a toilet seat? This is a question born from pure, unadulterated paranoia. Somewhere, a person is convinced that public restrooms are a chaotic battleground of rogue sperm, and they are one wrong move away from an immaculate conception. This isn't biology. It's the plot of a horror movie about haunted bathrooms. 47. What's the best lie to tell on a resume? This isn't just about padding your experience. This is a quest for the perfect fiction. This person isn't thinking of adding proficient in Microsoft Excel. They're contemplating becoming a former astronaut or a certified dolphin trainer. It's a bold attempt to build a career on pure, unadulterated fantasy. 48. How many calories in a booger? You have to admire the commitment to the diet. This person is tracking their intake so meticulously that even the most involuntary snacks are being logged. This isn't just a gross question. It's the sign of someone who has either lost a terrible bet or is taking their calorie counting to a new, terrifying extreme. 49. Do fish get thirsty? This is a beautiful moment of misplaced empathy. A person is staring into a fish tank, looking at creatures literally surrounded by water their entire lives, and their first thought is, I bet they could really go for a drink. It's a question so gentle and so profoundly confused that you can't even be mad. 50. Why is my reflection looking at me? This isn't a question. This is a cry for help. The person who typed this has just experienced a fundamental break with reality. They are looking in the mirror not with recognition but with deep suspicion, as if their own reflection has suddenly become a hostile stranger. This is the first scene of a psychological thriller. 51. Is it illegal to pretend to be a ghost? This search tells a story about a very specific plan. Someone is about to embark on a campaign of haunting their annoying neighbor, but they want to make sure they're doing it legally. This is a person who respects the law, but also wants to float around in a white sheet moaning outside someone's window at 2 a.m. 52. How to tell if a potato is lying. This is pure, magnificent surrealism. This person is holding a potato and believes it is being deceitful. They're trying to conduct a vegetable interrogation, convinced the potato is hiding a dark secret. What could it be lying about? Its starch content? Its true identity as a government spy? The possibilities are endless. 53. What to do if you accidentally summon a demon? This question is asked with the same casual panic as how to get red wine out of a carpet. The accidentally is the best part. It wasn't a plan. It was a Tuesday night oopsie. Now there's a Prince of Darkness in their kitchen, and they need Google for a customer service hotline to the underworld. 54. How to convince my cat it's adopted. This is the peak of treating your pet like a furry, four-legged human. This owner believes their cat is having an identity crisis and needs to have the talk. They are preparing for a serious, heart-to-heart conversation with a creature whose primary concerns are napping and knocking things off shelves. 55. Can I use Windex on my teeth? This is a shortcut to a $5,000 dental bill. Someone saw the promise of a streak-free shine on a bottle of bright blue cleaning fluid and had a moment of dangerously flawed inspiration. They looked past the poison warning and saw only the potential for a sparkling, chemical-fresh smile. 56. Where is the any key? This is the sound of pure, unadulterated technological rage. A computer has given a simple command, press any key to continue, and the user is on the verge of a complete meltdown, scanning their keyboard for a mythical key that simply does not exist. It's a rite of passage into computer-induced fury. 57. Is it legal to own a squirrel? This isn't a hypothetical. This person has a squirrel in their sights. They've probably named it, started leaving out specific nuts, and are now planning how to domesticate it. They are one Google search away from starring in a sitcom about a person whose life is ruined by their pet squirrel. Nutty. 58. Why does my shadow follow me? This is a question you expect from a 3-year-old. From an adult, it's a sign of deep-seated paranoia. This person is convinced their own shadow is stalking them, a dark, silent duplicate with sinister intentions. They've turned a basic principle of light into their own personal horror movie. 59. Can I mail a person? This is a logistical question that dances on the edge of a federal crime. Someone looked at the price of an airline ticket, then at the price of a large UPS box, and had a moment of terrible cost-saving inspiration. They're not just thinking outside the box, they're trying to put their friend inside of it. 60. Do you need a license to drive a sandwich? This question breaks the human brain. It's a combination of words that has no business being in the same sentence. What kind of sandwich? Does it have wheels? Is it a very large bread-based vehicle? This isn't a search. It's a window into a beautiful, chaotic, and completely nonsensical mind. 61. Is mayonnaise an instrument? This is the sound of someone taking a classic SpongeBob SquarePants quote with the seriousness of a musical scholar. They are not asking for a joke. They are asking for a factual confirmation, possibly while holding a jar of Hellmann's and wondering if it has the tonal range of a trombone. 62. How to get my cat a job. This is a pet owner who has looked at their cat sleeping for 18 hours a day and decided it was a freeloader. They are probably moments away from writing a tiny resume for Mr. Whiskers, highlighting his skills in rodent intimidation and expert-level napping, and wondering if he has a future in middle management. 63. Where do babies come from for an adult? The parenthetical "for an adult" is what makes this a masterpiece of delayed education. This isn't a child's innocent query. It's a full-grown human who has navigated life this far and has suddenly realized there's a significant, gaping hole in their biological knowledge. Google is about to give them the talk. 64. Can I get arrested for thinking about a crime? This person is living in a state of pre-crime paranoia. They are convinced that somewhere, a team of thought police is monitoring their brainwaves, and they are one bad idea away from a life sentence. This isn't a legal question. It's a request for reassurance that their own mind isn't a federal crime scene. 65. Is the moon made of cheese? In the 21st century, with high-definition photos from lunar rovers and actual moon rocks sitting in museums, someone is still holding out hope for a giant, celestial dairy product. This is a beautiful refusal to let science get in the way of a perfectly good and very old cartoon theory. 66. How to delete yourself from the internet. This is the desperate cry of someone who just posted something deeply embarrassing and now wants to achieve total digital non-existence. They don't just want to delete a tweet. They want to perform a digital seppuku, scrubbing their entire identity from the web like a spy trying to burn their file. 67. Do I have to pay for an ambulance? This is the most American question on the list. It captures that unique moment of terror when a person, possibly while in the ambulance itself, realizes that their life-saving ride comes with a bill larger than their rent. It's the sound of someone weighing their physical health against their financial ruin. 68. Why do I feel like I'm being watched? This is a common feeling, but when you type it into Google, you're not looking for a psychological explanation. You're looking for confirmation. You're hoping for a checklist that will help you find the tiny cameras you are now certain are hidden in your smoke detectors and houseplants. 69. Can I photosynthesize if I stand in the sun long enough? This is a person trying to hack human biology to save money on groceries. They are looking at plants and feeling a deep sense of evolutionary jealousy, wondering if they too can become a self-sustaining organism powered by sunlight. It's a beautiful, if deeply flawed dream of becoming a human solar panel. 70. What is Obama's last name? This is not a question. It is a perfect, beautiful, self-contained paradox. A logical black hole from which no intelligence can escape. The person who searched this has achieved a level of obliviousness so pure, it's almost a form of art. The answer is, and will forever be, right there in the question. 71. How to tell if I'm a good kisser? This is a question born of pure, agonizing insecurity. Instead of relying on, actual human feedback, this person is turning to a search algorithm for performance reviews. They're hoping for an online quiz or a checklist that will give them a definitive kissing score, probably on a scale of 1 to 10. 72. Can I use a toaster in the bath? This question is less a query and more of a final thought. It is a terrifying combination of breakfast appliances and personal hygiene that should never ever be in the same sentence. Someone is looking for a very quick, very shocking, and very permanent spa experience. 73. Can I sue the sun for giving me a sunburn? This person stood outside, got roasted, and now wants legal revenge against a star that's 93 million miles away. It's not just a bad sunburn, it's a full-blown interstellar lawsuit in the making. Somewhere, a lawyer is Googling how to subpoena a celestial body. 74. How to join the Illuminati? This isn't a conspiracy theorist, this is an aspiring one. They're not exposing the secret cabal that runs the world. They're looking for the careers page on their website. They believe joining the shadow government is like signing up for a gym membership, probably with a good dental plan. 75. Will my dog be sad if I change the Wi-Fi password? This is the absolute pinnacle of projecting human neuroses onto a pet. This person is genuinely concerned that their dog's emotional stability is directly linked to the strength and consistency of their home internet signal. They've confused their dog's needs with their own Netflix addiction. 76. Is it safe to look at a picture of the sun? This is a beautiful moment where someone has confused a multi-billion-ton ball of thermonuclear fusion with a JPEG file on their screen. You can almost see them squinting at their monitor, cautiously leaning in, terrified that a digital image might somehow burn out their retinas. This is safety and paranoia working in perfect, idiotic harmony. 77. How to print a GIF? This question comes from a person who wants to hold a moving picture in their hands. They're standing by their printer, waiting for it to spit out 200 individual pages of a dancing cat, ready to flip through them like a low-budget paper-based animation. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of the digital and physical realms. 78. Do I have to tell my landlord I have a ghost? This is a fantastic legal and supernatural dilemma. Does a spectral entity count as an unauthorized occupant on a lease agreement? Do they have to pay a pet deposit for a poltergeist? This person is trying to navigate the complexities of property law while also dealing with a roommate who can walk through walls. 79. What happens if you get an STD from a mermaid? This person has planned out their mythical love life in such detail that they are now worried about the practical medical consequences. They are one step ahead of everyone, contemplating a problem that no doctor in human history has ever been prepared to solve. What clinic even handles that? 80. How to teach my dog about money? This is the search of a pet owner who firmly believes their dog's only problem is a lack of financial literacy. You can picture them holding up a dollar bill to a confused golden retriever, trying to explain the concept of saving for retirement, while the dog just wants to know if it can eat the green paper. 81. Is it illegal to name my child FBI? This isn't just a question about naming a baby, it's a question about crafting a legend. This parent wants their child's name to be an intimidation tactic from the first day of kindergarten. They are looking for that sweet spot between a unique name and impersonating a federal agent. 82. Why does ice taste like cold water? This is a person who has just had a profound, earth-shattering scientific breakthrough in their own kitchen. After years of speculation, they have finally cracked the code. Frozen water has the distinct flavor profile of water, but colder. They went to Google not for an answer, but for a Nobel Prize. 83. Can I hire someone to attend my family reunion? This is a genius move of social outsourcing. This person has decided they would rather pay a complete stranger to endure Aunt Carol's questions about their love life than do it themselves. They're not just avoiding an awkward afternoon, they're creating a brand new industry for professional relatives. 84. Do trees have feelings? This isn't just a philosophical question. It's a cry of guilt from someone who just mowed their lawn or trimmed a hedge. They are now staring out the window, convinced they are a monster who has inflicted emotional trauma on the entire plant kingdom. They need Google to absolve them of their botanical sins. 85. How to get a restraining order against myself. This is what happens when self-loathing meets the legal system. This person has so little self-control that they believe the only solution is to make it illegal for them to be near themselves. They are trying to sue their own bad habits into submission. 86. Can I use pizza as a phone? This is a question born from a perfect storm of hunger, boredom, and a complete disregard for how electronics work. Somewhere, a person is holding a slice of pepperoni, wondering where the numbers are, and is genuinely disappointed that they can't order another pizza using the pizza they are already eating. 87. If I swallow a magnet, will I become magnetic? This is a childhood fantasy that has survived well into adulthood. This person is one impulsive decision away from trying to become a low-budget X-Men character, hoping to develop the superpower of sticking to their own refrigerator. They're not just questioning science, they're trying to defy it. 88. How to professionally say, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is the desperate Google search of every person on their first day at a new office job. They are looking for the perfect corporate jargon to mask their utter incompetence. They don't want to learn the job, they want to learn the secret code for I'm lost, please help. 89. Is it possible to die in a dream and die in real life? This is the search of someone who just woke up from a particularly intense nightmare in a cold sweat. They are now convinced that their dream was not a dream, but a free trial of the afterlife, and they are frantically checking their own pulse while asking Google if the subscription has been activated. 90. What is the Wi-Fi password for the entire United States? This is a magnificent display of main character syndrome. This person believes the entire country runs on a single, unified wireless network and that the password is just one Google search away. They imagine a giant router, probably hidden inside Mount Rushmore, that they can just log into. 91. How to cook a chicken by slapping it? This is not a question from a chef, but from a physicist with too much time on their hands. This person has bypassed ovens, grills, and microwaves, and has decided that the most efficient way to cook dinner is through pure percussive force. They are one Google search away from spending 3 days rhythmically beating a raw chicken into a lukewarm health hazard. 92. Is it possible to untag yourself in real life? This question comes from someone who just experienced an incredibly awkward social interaction and is looking for a metaphysical escape hatch. They don't just want to leave the party, they want to retroactively erase their presence from the memory of everyone involved, like a bad photo you never consented to be in. 93. Is it illegal to be ugly? This is a question so drenched in insecurity it's almost heartbreaking, until you realize the sheer absurdity of it. This person is worried that their face might be a misdemeanor, and that at any moment, the style police might show up at their door to issue them a citation for crimes against aesthetics. 94. How do I clean the inside of my computer screen? This person spotted a smudge and decided it must be inside the screen. They're seconds away from unscrewing their monitor with a butter knife, guided only by false confidence and the thumbnail of a 6-minute YouTube tutorial. 95. Can a fish drown? This is the aquatic version of do trees feel pain? It's a question that short-circuits the brain. A person is looking at a creature whose entire existence is defined by living in water, and is wondering if it's possible for that creature to fail at the one thing it's supposed to do. 96. How to become a werewolf? Notice, the question isn't, are werewolves real? That ship has sailed. This person has already accepted the reality of lycanthropy and has moved on to the practical how-to phase. They are actively seeking a life-changing career move into nocturnal howling and shedding on the furniture. 97. Is it bad to swallow your own spit? The amount of self-doubt required to ask this is staggering. This is a bodily function you perform thousands of times a day, completely unconsciously. But for one terrifying moment, this person was convinced they were poisoning themselves with their own saliva and needed Google to grant them permission to continue living. 98. What time is it on the moon? This person is thinking on a celestial level. They are not bound by earthly time zones. They have concerns that are literally out of this world, possibly because they need to know if it's too late to call an astronaut or if they're missing their favorite show on the Lunar Broadcasting Network. 99. How to become a millionaire by doing nothing. This isn't just a search. It's the American dream distilled into its purest, laziest form. This person is looking for a cheat code for life, a magical loophole in the fabric of capitalism that will allow them to achieve immense wealth without ever having to get off the couch. 100. Is Santa Claus real for adults? The little "for adults" at the end is what makes this so perfect. This isn't a child's innocent question. This is a grown-up, probably after paying bills, who just wants to believe, for one fleeting moment, that there's still a magical man in a red suit who might solve all their problems. 101. What should I Google? And here we are. The final boss. The snake eating its own tail. This is the search of a person who has so completely outsourced their own curiosity that they are now asking the machine to tell them what to be curious about. It is the most brilliant and the absolute dumbest question of them all. That was a guided tour through the digital brain fog of humanity. Now it's your turn. What's the absolute dumbest thing you've ever Googled and had to delete before anyone saw it? Be honest. We're building a shrine to bad ideas in the comments section. If your frontal lobe is still intact, hit like, smash subscribe, and get ready. The next video might just finish the job.